Alright, so today we have a 2005 Honda Accord EX two-door. It's got the keyless entry. However, when you lock it, as long as it's locked, it'll lock, but when you try to unlock it, it won't unlock because the driver solenoid, the driver actuator inside of the door is bad. This happens quite often apparently because I've got 3 friends of mine who's got the same issue. We're going to try to replace it today. Tools you'll need: a number 2 Phillip, a flathead, basic tools, and then the replacement part. You'll also want a number 3 Phillip head. Why? Because these screws here are bigger, and if you don't get the right one, you will strip them. So if you use a smaller or a bigger screwdriver, you'll strip those. To start off, there's a bunch of bolts that you got to take off to take the door panel off. I usually start off here. There's a little clip there. You take that panel off. Then you use your number 2 Phillip head to remove these 2 bolts off. Now, there's this panel that just pops right off. And then there is 2 more bolts down here, right underneath the handle. Now for the fun part. Now you start popping those little clips on the back of the door panel from that corner and down, because you have room for your hands, and you just come around and pop them all the way around. They should easily pop off. Then your door panel lifts up and slides out of place. Now you've got a couple of connections behind your door panel, like your actual door handle. There's a clip on there. It's broken, and that comes off. And then there's 2 electrical plugs over here, and then 1 more down there. So these are going to control your locks and windows and mirrors. So you got to unhook them. There's little clips there. You press it and pull down. And the same thing on the other one. You just got to find the little clip and you press it and pull down. Now the bottom one has this little clip that clicks onto the door panel. Pull it off, twist and take off, and there's your door panel. Put it aside, and then the fun stuff. Okay, you've got this over here, which is glued. I usually do is, give me a second, I will return. All right, we're back. I get a razor blade. Now don't cut this because I like to put it back the way it was. But what I do is I cut the actual glue. Now for the fun part. Your actuator is down here by the locking mechanism. You've got to disconnect a lot of stuff to get to it. I usually start by disconnecting plugs, door handles, things of that sort. So this is going to have to come off. And we're going to need a 10mm for this. That's your window rail, and so that way it's out of the way. And we'll need to unhook the top hooks off of the outside door handle, and then we'll remove the 3 screws, and it should come out as a whole piece. Then we'll work on it outside and bring it back. Also, you're probably going to want to take this screw off and disconnect this as well, so we take it out as a whole piece. And with this one, I haven't done one of these before, it just unclips. It's got a couple of little hooks, so it hooks in and then it gets screwed in. All right, we'll be back when I get the 10mm. All right, I've got my little cheapy 10mm. We're gonna get to work. So that ratchets right off. And then we shouldn't have to ratchet that off as long as we get to the plugs and unplug them. So that's 1 screw out. And now we'll need a little flathead to remove these clips. So they twist off upwards, and then this thing should pop out of there. So that's 1, and there's another one way down there. So we're gonna have to try to get that off as well. That's the keyhole. So we twisted it off again, and we popped that thing off. Now everything should be disconnected off of it. We should be able to take that off. Remember that number 3 screwdriver? This is where it comes in handy. So what I usually do is I tighten them just a little bit first, and then I loosen them. So that way they're a little loose and they're not stripping. So that's 1. And now you kind of take that window out of the way. Make sure your window's up, by the way. And you take that window thing to the side, and your whole assembly should sneak down as long as you kind of have everything. So here's your whole assembly, and it really wasn't too hard to get out. Now, this is the part that's broken, and so to get it out, I'm guessing it's just these two clips. I'm gonna get a little flathead screwdriver, pop it in there. So we're gonna go ahead and get this out. That's one side, and that's the other. It just slides right out. So this is our broken part, which it still sounds like it works, but just the electrical part of it is bad. Here's the replacement part from Dorman, 746302. Hopefully it should be the same part. I did kind of eyeball it and it looked similar. And there's our new part. So new part, old part, and it should clip right in, is what they said. So make sure this thing lines up. You can't really screw up too much. And it goes just something like this. And as long as we align this all the way up and this all the way up, it should kind of just clip into place. So there it goes. And then we line this up where it was, just like so, and it clips into place. And voila. Now we take our screw, which is the littlest screw. We'll put it back into place. And that should cycle like it was, nice and happily. Now, to reassemble things, you just go backwards of what we did. And now we reassemble back up. Now when we're putting it in, these are gonna face up ultimately, so we try to keep them up where they belong. And try to see how this goes. And there it goes, it's kind of lined up. And the first thing I usually do is try to put a screw back in, just so it sits in place, and then I can connect everything else. So here's a screw. As long as you just get one to set it in place, they're kind of piloted to sit where they belong. Now this will come back out, but we gotta make sure things go back the way they were. And we're back, clean hands. I usually like to wash them so that way I don't end up getting these parts dirty. This is black, so it's not really gonna matter too much, but whatever. So it's just backwards of what we did initially. Then the way to put it in is you put it right in that window slot and you line it up with the back. Usually it is easier to put the window down, but that was easy enough, I think. And you just kind of make sure it seats right. Once it seats right, you kind of will just be able to clip the clips in. And that's it. It's completely done. So to test it, you can see now the door lock is working. And we know we did the job right. As long as the door handles work, door locks work. We'll test all that in a minute. But let me finish buttoning it up. And I'm done. So let's test it with the remote and make sure it works. Got the key in hand. Lock, locks it. Unlock, unlocks it. And voila. How hard was the job? Job I would say is about medium. It's not for the weak-hearted because there are lots of little parts. But I mean, I'm crippled with a broken foot, so if I can do it, I think anybody can do it better than me. And that's that. Old part goes in the garbage, and just remember it's a 746302.